I guess we'll go ahead. All right. Well, my name is Amber Clark, and I'm the director of the Columbus Airport. I also serve on the GAA board and currently one of the co-chairs for the Education Committee. So we, again, thank you for joining this webinar. And to introduce our topic today, we're actually going to be talking about the Southeast Airport Disaster Operations Group, or better known as SEADOG. And basically today's topic, we're just going to get into kind of what is it? Who are they? What do they do? How can you be involved if you'd like to be? And how do you get help if you need it? So I'm going to go ahead and read the bios. We do have several speakers today. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce all three of them, and then I'm going to turn it over to them and let them provide their presentation that they have for us. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to put them in the chat during the session. If you'd like, we'll do a little Q&A at the very end. If you want to come off your mic and ask questions as well, either or is fine once the presentation has ended. All right, so we're going to go ahead and introduce the first speaker. His name is Andy Singhas. He's a CM and is also a senior operations manager at Savannah Hilton Head International Airport, where he has been there for dedicated 17 years with over 20 years of aviation experience. He did begin his career as a ramp agent with Loadmaster and Loadmaster at American West Airlines. In his current role, he serves as Savannah's primary coordinator for SEADOG response. Outside of work, Andy is a private pilot, an avid drummer, and enjoys outdoor activities. Then we also have Dustin Hetzel, who is also an airport operations compliance and emergency management coordinator at Savannah Hilton Head. He has over 20 years of experience in local government and emergency management. He's a Georgia certified emergency manager. He also develops emergency plans, coordinates incident responses, and leads training for the Savannah Airport Commission. He is active in the Southeast Airport Disaster Operations Group, SEADOG, and counter UAS law enforcement working groups. Before joining Savannah in 2019, he spent 14 years at Chatham County Emergency Management Agency, supporting a wide range of incident and managing emergency operations centers. His experience includes major events like hurricanes, rock and roll marathons, and St. Patrick's Day festivals, which we all know can get crazy. Richard A. Rushing III, MS and AAE, is an experienced airport management professional with over 18 years in operation and administration. As the Director of Operations at the Savannah Hilton Head International Airport since 2021, he oversees airside and landside operations, emergency management, and airport security while ensuring FAA and TSA compliance. He previously held leadership roles at Fort Smith Regional Airport and Gulfport Biloxi International Airport, managing airport operations and regulatory compliance there. Rushing holds a Master's of Science in Aeronautics from Liberty University and is an accredited airport executive. Beyond his career, he is actively involved in the Boy Scouts of America, demonstrating his commitment to leadership and community service. Well, that's great. We appreciate your time here with us and speaking with us on this topic, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to you all for your presentation.
All right, well, good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
We can.
Excellent. All right, well, as Amber said, thanks for the introduction, Amber. We're going to be discussing SEADOG. Let's see, we gotta get it switch slides here. There we go. So basically, what is SEADOG? Let's start with what we're not. We are not the SS-401, the USS SEADOG. It was actually a submarine. We are not a branch of the FAA. We are not a branch of AAA, and we don't have a budget. We are strictly airports helping airports. That is the foundation of SEADOG. We are friends helping friends, family members helping family members. This is kind of a representation of the members of SEADOG and WestDOG. approximately 154 airport personnel from around the country, 253 people outside of airports, in addition, agencies such as FAA, NTSB, and several other agencies. And then we have coordinating airports around the Southeast that are represented by the YOLA airplanes. Basically, the point of the coordinating cities is to have someone outside of the impact area to kind of run the show during an incident. So there's SEADOG and there's WestDog. And so when we talk about SEADOG, it's very non-formalized. There's no letters of agreements, there's no contracts or anything like that. It's strictly informal. It's friends helping friends. Large group of journal members contribute, personnel, expertise. SEADOG, as Amber stated, Southeast Airports Disaster Operations Group, started in the Southeast, but has really grown nationwide. WestDog, however, is a slightly different. They are very much formalized. You have to fill out and sign a written agreement to join. And they have a lead airport and a secondary airport that are already designated, and that rotates annually. So again, airports helping airports. You're going to hear us say that quite a bit. So what we do is we're going to reach out to you and ask, hey, what's going on? How's your airport doing after, before the incident and then after? And we want to know, is there anything you need? Do you need some equipment? Do you need manpower? Are you good on food and water for your personnel? Are your generators up and running? Do you need some additional generators? Are you getting fuel like you need? Is there anything comfort supplies you need for your personnel? Are you needing cots? Are you needing blankets? That type of stuff we're going to call and say, hey, what do you need? We want to be able to help you out. But one of the big things is every airport only has a limited number of people. And you know what? That's not a problem. That's what we're here for. We want to make sure that you swallow your pride and that you ask for help, because we want to make sure that we can get help to you. This right here is from Hurricane Helene last year. This is Valdosta. We sent a team of about seven or eight people over to Valdosta for a couple days. They took quite a bit of damage there, but they also had a lot of debris. And like a lot of airports, just didn't have enough people to really help recover, get that cleaned up so they can start getting aircraft in there. And that's what we're about. We want to make sure that we can help everyone recover, get back into operation, because airports are that lifeline, that of recovery. We have folks that reach out from literally across the country to come in and help. So SEADOG airports can mobilize very quickly. We can get to you within a few hours. Typically, we're going to try to start with airports that are closer to you and then work out from there. We bring a unique capability of specialization. So if you need ARF personnel because you're been stuck in the fire station for 5 days and you can't get any relief in because of trees, power lines, personal issues, we can get you some ARF personnel. We can work on getting some ops personnel to help make sure that your airport's running effectively, dealing with the influx of aircraft that you're seeing and the influx of federal agencies that want to come set up at the airport, because you are that hub of recovery. Work on assessment teams, bringing in engineers or airfield electricians, terminal maintenance personnel to help do assessments on your building to get you back up and running. Do you need additional law enforcement security personnel? We can work on getting that to you as well to help supplement your teams.
Now, different voice this time. If you don't know me, my name is Andy Singhas. I'm usually the loudmouth that runs the SEADOG conference calls. Normally when something comes up, we'll get about 60 airports on a conference call for a serious storm. So yes, our our network is rather broad, and we do not go wanting for volunteers that are at least interested in tuning in to see how they may help with an airport. To a certain extent, we've been so successful as kind of a background, not quite governmental, not quite not-for-profit organization, that the FAA took note and invited us to head down to Miami to speak to the aviation heads from multiple countries, not quite 100% of what you see on the map here. But we met with and gave the SEADOG speech and pitched to them the model of how they in the Caribbean might be able to support each other in a similar manner. Now, what works well in the United States is we have states and we have EMACs. So in the case of Valdosta, it was very easy for Savannah to send a team over to Valdosta because we just told Chatham County, where we are, to tell the downstream airport county, expect a convoy. Hey, we're coming. Get the roads open for us. That way, if there is a roadblock, they know that we are sanctioned. We have our mission numbers, and we're ready to roll through and get in there right after the power lines are cleared. I don't know how my map changed. So we have it easy in the United States. Not quite so in the Caribbean. We're still working with the FAA, and we're still working with now the World Food Program to try to create a similar model for the Caribbean states. The primary American presence down there is Puerto Rico. There's a large FAA presence down there. And because the United States and the FAA controls so much of that airspace, all of the other nations, they kind of look to the American model to try to make things work down there if they have a natural disaster. Of which they get far more than we do in the Southeast United States. They have a lot of problems with cabotage and customs and immigration, and not to mention that they're islands. So we certainly wish them the best of luck, and we're going to continue to support them any way we can. It's nice to not have to fly everywhere we go. We're still fortunate enough to drive there. Now, what is it we need on these SEADOG conference calls? In the buildup, usually we're starting our conference calls about 120 to 96 hours before landfall, and we slowly chip down the candidate airports of who we expect to get smacked. We want to know what your community is expecting, what they're telling you on your local news, because that helps us. And if somebody's in Gulfport or somebody's down in Columbus, you're going to know more realistically what you're going to get hit with than I am in Savannah or somebody in Greenville or in Raleigh is going to know. We need to know when you plan to close your operations. Are you going to close it all? Are you going to be like us, where we don't close unless we are forced to by the weather? We need to know that information so we can log that. If you have been, if the weather has already passed, what's your damage assessment? Are you able to complete a full damage assessment? If so, we can send an assessment team in there. We can grab engineers from any number of airports. They'll happily come and see what it takes just to get your airport operational again. We're not Service Master, we're not Serv Pro, we're not Balfour. We can't rebuild everything, but we can get you operational enough that at least you're not hemorrhaging all of your revenue. You're at least getting fuel flowage and landing fees or whatever to get you operational rather than just being a big expensive parking lot. Manpower needs, like Ricky mentioned earlier, if you need ARF people because your ARF guys went home to fix up their house, we can get you ARF people. We can get you specialists. What equipment do you need? Nobody's got enough backhoes after a storm comes through, and after you're cleaned up, you don't need 15 backhoes. We can just bring you what you need at the time. We went down to Fort Lauderdale, helped them after their flood. We took 2 dump trucks and a backhoe and all kinds of FOD sweepers. We took all kinds of stuff down there, and when we were done, we just brought it home because they don't need it. Employee morale needs, there's not enough that can be said. It's not just bringing 2x4s and power tools and chainsaws and FOD sweepers. Your folks have been through a traumatic experience. A lot of airports that we have helped out, the folks didn't have a home to go to, so they just stayed at work, and that's just how they coped with it. And little things like clean underwear, clean socks, a hot sandwich from Chick-fil-A, potato chips, just little comfort items like that. Not just nobody wants MREs in a time like this. Nobody wants to eat emergency food. They want to eat comfort food. And, sometimes, dropping a Gulfstream in there that's full of Chick-fil-A and pizza is just what the doctor ordered. We've done that before. Deployment duration, location. Where do you want us to show up? How long are you expecting us to be there? When we roll, or if anybody else deploys, we are always self-sufficient. We bring everything we expect to need for the duration. We don't want to go to a visit, or we don't want to go assist an airport and then become a burden. We bring our own diesel, we bring our own gasoline. A lot of times we bring more water than we expect to need, so we can leave those extra supplies behind at the airport. What we don't want to do is just create more trash. We don't want to leave you encumbered. We just want to come in, help. About the only thing we'll ever ask for is some real estate to set up. State resource request numbers, again, this is something we beat on repeatedly on the conference calls. Mission numbers. Some airports are more tight than others when it comes to FEMA reimbursement or need for FEMA reimbursement or that expectation. We're fortunate that we can play a little more fast and loose with that. So that's why we're so eager to help. And so we're so fast to help, because we don't have to clear our own internal red tape before we go help somebody. But one thing we do want to have are those mission numbers so that our teams are expected en route and at the destination. We don't want to drive 1,000 miles to Texas and then get turned around by some county sheriff that doesn't know any better. And then responding airports. A lot of times, recovery is not going to be done by 6 people from one airport. Going back to Hurricane Katrina, that was a month-long ordeal in Gulfport and in New Orleans, with multiple rotations of ARF, of law enforcement, of skilled craftsmen, of HVAC people, of airfield personnel, airfield electricians, to keep those running. And a lot of folks when a particularly bad storm comes through, a particularly bad disaster, a lot of people will just stop going to work. They just consider themselves, I'm done here in New Orleans, I'm moving to Baton Rouge. So somebody's got to operate that airport until those vacancies can be filled. And we're not going to guarantee 100% fulfillment, but we're going to keep you operational. Now I'm going to slowly start transitioning to Dustin, but before I do that, I'm going to talk about how we used to track all this stuff. To Dustin's credit, everything you see on the screen is in his handwriting. This is what it used to look like when Savannah is coordinating a storm. We're going down this laundry list of airports. This is about a 3-day out window. As you know, the storms love to oscillate and leave you guessing. So this is what it looks like. We're just scribbling notes down every time, take a photograph and then erase it and start over next time and chip away until that list gets smaller. And here's the brain trust right here. This is, oh boy, there's Dustin and Kurt and me and Kim and Jeff and Joe, and we're all sitting around. Ricky is the one behind the camera, by the way. This is our old ops conference room. And this is us on a SEADOG call, just going down the list, rattling off and seeing who needs what, who's expecting what. And if not, see you later, talk to you tomorrow. We've come a little ways from that, and I'm going to pass the baton over to Dustin. He's going to talk to you about how we track things now.
Good afternoon, everybody. That's Dustin here. So when I came over from the county side, we were using WebEOC to track incidents there. And when I came here, there was no tracking other than Word and Excel, which, as we all know, those can always get dated and it's not real-time information. Plus, it takes a lot of manpower to do the tracking. Then if you're updating like our website, then you have to duplicate the data in that, and you have to find somebody who's got permission to get on websites and stuff like that. So what we did was partner with Javare. We've got an active incident system for anybody to log into, and I'll share that code at the end here. But basically, it helps take a lot of the heavy lifting off of a team of people from doing all the big work, and it allows airports to actually update their status, what they need, what they're doing. It allows the other airports to see it if it's shared properly. So it gives the real good situation awareness and that common operating picture across the SEADOG mentality of airports health and airports here. You're going to see a kind of a transition from how I took WebEOC and was just sharing that information. You can see this is a screenshot from Francine that was coming in. We're kind of tracking it. That's kind of an overall like the weather on the GIS slide. So if you needed something as a nice display for situation awareness, this is one of those boards that you could just have on a monitor somewhere. Runs all the time. It's always live fed from GIS sources. So you can see this, there's active wildfires, but you can see the hurricane track, power outages and all that. So it's a great situation awareness tool from Francine. And from that, we grew it into tracking the storms from that and giving the updates on what hurricanes were saying. So you can see here, we had Puma was reporting in and GPT and all that. So this is basically what the airports were feeding us. Gives you that quick dashboard for those who like dashboards on high level. You can see on the advisories if anybody was in major critical statuses. So it was a great, like I said, a great high level situation awareness and a common operating tool. Last year alone, you can see the storms that and systems that we tracked as SEADOG just for the awareness. So we had Beryl, Debbie, Francine. Everybody remembers Helene. Then Milton came in right behind Helene there. And then, of course, everybody enjoyed Enzo this past January. So that's all the systems that SEADOG monitored and tracked and helped coordinate just last year alone. In HURVAC, you can see all the airports I've loaded on there. We can kind of get some stats from some of these storms. You can see this is Beryl. Even though it really wasn't a big system, it still caused 1,400 flights canceled and 2,200 plus flights that were delayed. $7.2 billion storm just in the US. So even though it wasn't really per se a big response storm, it's still something we were monitoring just because of the outages that were impacted across the aviation industry. Transitioning to Debbie, you can see we started doing a little bit more with the airports. Those gray pins are all the airports that were loaded in. You can see the status here I've got highlighted with Jacksonville. They were impacted at the time. You could have clicked on that and saw what they were reporting, what they're impacted by. You can see the Winfield graphic that shows that. It's at that snapshot point in time and the rain bands that are associated with it. So I said a great tool you can get on any storm anywhere that we're tracking. Going into Francine, you can see we kind of updated it again. Now you've got an actual status color for that graphical grab for folks to see on the status of the airports. This is that thing that Andy talked about when we were starting to be several days out. Instead of, focusing on everybody, we start focusing on those key area folks that are in the code of uncertainty there. So that's what the airports we start following on plus and minus on who might be in the wind field. There's a snapshot of Francine. You can see those airports. You can see one was reporting in that is impacted. So like I said, great situational awareness. Here's after Francine had passed by, you know, with the track, we can keep it updated. And we transitioned to Helene here, and that was all the airports that we reached out to from the Keys up to Atlanta. Really didn't get a chance to grab all the ones in the Carolinas, but we were monitoring that with their statuses. So transition from storm to storm. And then here's Milton. You can see we definitely updated it again. We're actually getting this fed in from the Florida aviation database on their statuses, and then we were flagging them. You can see all the airports that were impacted or closed or at some sort of emergency. Even before Milton had came in with a swing line stapler there and brought in all that fun to the Florida coast. And then one more time in January, we did one more big update, which worked out pretty well. Instead of having the dots and a little green icon, we actually transitioned it to something a little bit more awareness level. Green being okay, red meaning they're impacted, blue means they're, you know, it's the heart rate line. There's some sort of emergency critical level. So you've seen the transition we've done from transition away from, you know, paper and pencil and crayon and to whiteboard to now this, which is it's open live 24/7 as long as airports are updating it and SEADOG's updating it. You can see at any moment the status of any one of these airports are being impacted. I'll leave this up for a second. You can scan that QR code. That should take you to a launch page to register for SEADOG, and then one of us or somebody from Javari will approve it. If you don't have an airport in the system, they make an account real quick. So it just takes a few minutes to add you. And then from there, the fun begins. And we're trying to do quarterly SEADOG webinars, just trying to work the kinks out and to get that muscle memory on people logging into the system and just flagging, you know, just something made up for fun, just to do the muscle memory on it. Plus it makes sure the system works as intended. That's how you can get in touch with us. We've got a website. We've got a Facebook page. We do have a Twitter page. We don't really use it as much, but it is there. It's really there to ingest all the feeds from other airports we're following. That's the website link. I'm sure we can send that out because you really can't click the screen there, but that's the long login for the SEADOG Javari instance. And always the best way to reach out to somebody, don't necessarily always email Andy or I or Ricky directly, but if you email seadog@flyasav.com, that will guarantee go to those 3 plus others that are on that chain on the back end. So the best way to reach us is that email address right there. And I will turn it back over to Ricky. That's our point of contact information.
So does Amber, if you're good with it, we'll go ahead and open up to any questions that anyone may have.
Yep, we're good to go. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask the group? So far, I don't see any in the chat.
Hey Amber, it's Colette.
Colette, go ahead.
Not a question, just more of a FYI. The department, we are in the process of acquiring through our Black Cat system, disaster preparedness module. So it hopefully will be a more automated. As everybody knows, we send out the forms here, fill this out, email it back to us, and then we compile a spreadsheet and we share that across GMA, FAA, etc. So once we get this module up and running, it'll be more automated. You can fill in live data. We hope to feed it to perhaps maybe SEADOG's system or with GMA, and it's just another way to keep us rolling real-time information. So we will definitely keep the airport apprised of when that comes online, but that is something we are acquiring.
That's great. I know that'll be really helpful for sure.
Yeah, and the one thing you're talking about GMA, that's one thing that we're working with the state at the SOC is feeding them the same feed. So we'll definitely love to get that same data if it's available, just to share that as well. So thanks.
Amber, Jim Marquardt, does SEADOG keep like a list of equipment where it's available, or do they just reach out when the need is there? Do they just kind of reach out to all airports? Where do they get their equipment from? In other words, airport needs a generator, or they need, you were talking about, you know, the FOD bosses, sweepers, that kind of thing. Do you have lists of where that's all at, or you maintain it?
We don't maintain a list, because, you know, airports inventories of equipment comes and goes with the tide. But we'll just put that's what we do on the conference call. Hey, Birmingham, they need a 50 kilowatt generator, to run some light plants. Okay. Anybody got one out there? Okay, well, you know, Charlotte's got a couple. Yeah, we can truck them down there, and that's how it works. It's not. For lack of a better term, it's kind of an ad hoc operation. Who needs what? Who's got it? Who's able to transport it?
All right, so to find out about when the conference calls are, again, we just go to the website.
Best thing to do if you want to join our Everbridge is just shoot us an email to the SEADOG at flysav.com.
Okay.
With your information. Email and cell phone number are the best, and we'll add you to the member list. When we do the conference calls, it goes to all 600 plus members of the SEADOG. All those individuals that have ever signed up. Everybody gets an invite.
Okay, thank you.
So one thing I want to add to that is in the past, both Dawood and myself, whenever Georgia's being impacted, this is Ricky, by the way, the two of us typically will go down a list, typically from GAA and then our list, and anywhere else we can find a list of airport managers across the state to reach out to you individually. So we want to make sure that there's a 24-hour number listed somewhere, either with GAA or sign up through with the SEADOG and with us as well for that, because that's some of the hardest thing to do is to get a hold of someone specifically if you're not on the calls to reach out, because like I said, that's what Dawood and I will do is we'll let this team in here start handling some of the other stuff, and we'll call each one of you individually if you're in that kind of uncertainty, especially right after the storm, to see how everything's going and then what your needs are.
All right, do we have any more questions? Do we have anybody on the call who's maybe been a participant or a recipient of SEADOG services and want to maybe just kind of talk about their own process by chance? Okay.
Great presentation. Very informative.
All right, well, we did record this, and so we will post it on our page so that other members who could not attend today can go back and watch it. If we do receive any additional questions, we definitely will get in touch with you all and let you know. But we just want to say thank you. We really appreciate the services that you provide and the support you provide to all our Georgia airports and all airports who are members. So thank you guys so much for this. I think it was very informative, as Jim said, and we just really appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
And if we don't have any further questions, we'll go ahead and conclude today. Thank you, guys.